Everyone, welcome to the show. So, I'm getting so frustrated with the Democrats right now. They have the perfect opportunity to seize on Donald Trump's unholy alliance with Elon Musk and the billionaire class. So far, though, they are completely blowing it. Not only are they not stepping up and offering a competing message that would resonate with working class voters, they're actually rolling over and playing dead. Check this out.
I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have? They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have?
So that, as you guys all know, is Hakeem Jeffries. He is the House Minority Leader for the Democratic Party. Have you ever heard anything so pathetic? This is why the Democrats lost. This is 100% why they lost. Have you ever heard or could you fathom of a Republican saying something like that? Right? Oh, well, what can we do? We're so helpless. I'm gonna go suck my thumb. Seriously, the Republicans, when they're against the wall, when they have lost everything, which they have in several elections, they get together and they plot on how to cut Democrats off at the knees. That is what Democratic voters are longing for. That is what we are thirsty for. And then check out what Jeffrey said to Jon Stewart. He was on Jon Stewart's show recently. And as you're going to hear, Jon Stewart pressed him for the Democrats' plan. Take a look at how he answered.
Where is the Democrats' Project 2025? Is that underway? Everything you're saying feels right to me. The Democrats have to make this point. Where's the infrastructure to do that? And who are the leaders taking charge of that effort? Because when I listened to, I believe his name is Ken Martin, is that correct? The new DNC chair?
That's right.
He kept saying it's a messaging issue, as though, no, everything's going right, you just don't realize it yet. As opposed to, we've gotten away from New Deal values. Does that make sense to you?
Well, I think there's a few things going on here.
Yeah.
In terms of how we better communicate with the American people, Maya Angelou said it best. People won't remember what you say. They may not even remember what you do, but they will always remember how you make them feel. And I think what we have to do a better job of is making the American people feel that we understand the pain that they've been in economically.
I'm sorry you feel that way. Really? They have the perfect talking points right now. They could appeal to a majority of voters. There was a Morning Consult poll that was done that shows that the majority of what Trump is focusing on right now is out of step with what the voters want. So if you're looking at this on a video, and for those on the podcast, I'm going to break it down, but the top priority for Americans is reducing costs. 76% said this is my number one issue, reducing the cost of living. Number two is making healthcare more affordable. 68% agreed with that. Instead, what is Trump doing? He is focusing on deporting immigrants. He's focusing on reducing the federal budget. Well, check out in this same thing, in the same graph, where those numbers are. 38% and 45% respectively. Those are minority issues. And he has been obsessed with reducing aid to foreign countries and gutting government agencies. Again, according to this graph, those are minority issues. Reducing foreign aid comes in at only 32%. Reducing government agency sizes, and the federal staff in general, 27%. And Trump's tariff policies are extremely unpopular. In this same thing, in the same poll, only 19% of of the respondents said, yes, that is my number one issue. Who are these people? How brain dead are they? So Democrats should be taking this opportunity to fill the void. Instead, here's what Hakeem Jeffries did. You're not going to believe this. He went and groveled to wealthy donors. Politico earlier this month reported that Jeffries flew to California, where he met with over 150 Silicon Valley-based donors. One attendee told Politico, quote, "The singular focus was how do we ensure Silicon Valley remains with the Democrats? Because right now, Silicon Valley is feeling very purple." Who gives a shit what Silicon Valley wants? Are they wealthy? Yes. But if you have a majority of Americans on your side, you don't need them. Bernie Sanders proved that. Look at how much money he raised with small dollar donations. He refused to take PAC money, didn't want to deal with billionaires, and none of them were on his side, by the way, because he made it very clear, I am not going to give you what you want. I'm going to give the American people what they want, and that is in direct conflict with what you wealthy assholes want of me and want of government. This is the exact opposite of what Democrats need to be doing right now. Last week, I shared with you guys, there was that YouGov Economist poll. You guys might remember it. It was taken earlier this month as well. And in that poll, they asked, how do Democrats feel about their party's response so far to Trump? 70% of Democrats said that congressional Democrats are not doing enough to fight. That is up. It was only 60, well, not only, it was still high, but it was 61% just the week before that. They didn't say, you know what I really wish Democrats would do? I wish that they would go and kiss the asses of the elites in Silicon Valley. And then back in December, there were focus groups that were done. These were conducted by Navigator Research. The participants said that Democrats were weak. They said that they were too focused on diversity and elites. And when they were asked, you know, can you give us an animal? Describe Democrats with an animal. If the Democratic Party was an animal, what would you call them? One of them said an ostrich, because they said, quote, they've got their heads in the sand and are absolutely committed to their own ideas, even when they're failing. Another one said, I think Democrats are like koala bears because they're, quote, complacent and lazy about getting policy wins that we really need. Not good. I'll just give you that bottom line. That's not good, right? So Democrats need to do a few things. This is my opinion, but based on everything I've read and researched and heard, I believe this is correct. I think, number one, I think they need to show, obviously, that they're fighters. I don't think there's anybody who would disagree with that. They need to show we're not just going to go, oh, there's nothing we can do. We're not in charge. No, you would never hear that from a Republican. Just stop it. Just freaking stop. With the mealy mouth, sucking your thumb, curled up in the fetal position in the corner. It is not attractive. Nobody wants that, okay? Second, they need to name an enemy or group of enemies. And I think it absolutely should be the uber wealthy tax dodgers. Specifically, like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, start using their freaking names. Start making them fear the Democratic base, because they obviously fear the Republican MAGA base right now. So turn that around on them. Tell people exactly why they're getting screwed over. Tell people why they can't have health care, because the health insurance companies won't allow it. because they don't want to lose their profit. You know, tell them why they can't have all the nice things that they want. Because of all of these wealthy jerk-offs who have bought our government. And then point out how many of them right now are supporting the Republican Party. And make the connection. Here's why they support the Republican Party. Here's why all of these billionaires showed up and surrounded Trump at his inauguration. You know why? Because he's going to give them everything they want. And then the other thing they need to do is they need to get the right messengers. They need to find messengers, spokespeople, not Hakeem Jeffries, who could put anyone to sleep. You know, you could be in the middle of a terrorist attack and the guy could put you to sleep. That's how boring he is. Get messengers who sound like human beings, who don't sound like they are overly rehearsed, consultant-crafted puppets. Right? People who actually can talk with the Democratic Party, not even just the Democratic Party, because you want to reach other people. You know, Professor Scott Galloway, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He is a professor in New York, very wealthy guy. He recently went on CNN, and what he said about Elon Musk is what every single Democrat should be repeating ad nauseum. Every single one should have the same talking point, be on every news outlet, be in every space allowed, every podcast, every alternative media source. They should be repeating this. Check this out.
His net worth has gone up by about $150 billion, despite the fact Tesla sales are crashing between 20 and 70% across Europe, down 15% year on year in China, because the market soberly predicts, unfortunately, that we're now in a full kleptocracy, and the shareholder value is a function of proximity to a corrupt president. This is about money. Notice how they just fired the inspector general who was investigating Musk.
Why can't Dems convey that simple message to the American people, right? Just plain and simple language, just like Scott Galloway did. The Democrats get so in their own way. They try to be so high-minded, so proper all the time. It is off-putting. The way they speak, it's not normal. You know, people don't feel, like I said, people don't feel like Dems are speaking with them. They feel like Democrats are speaking at them. They feel like they're being lectured instead of sharing some information. Instead of talking like a normal human being would talk at a party or to a friend or to a family member. And here's the thing, Galloway has done a lot of research about young men and what drives their decisions. A very important voting bloc, right? The one that Democrats lost to Trump the most. Here's what he believes Democrats need to do going forward. And this, again, is based on his research.
Tax holiday for 20 to 30-year-olds, 10 million new homes built in the next 10 years. Take the cohort that is 24% less wealthy than they were 40 years ago, people under the age of 40, versus 70-year-olds who are 72% wealthier, and level up young people. UBI for industries or people affected by AI. Lower Medicare coverage 2 years a year for the next 20 years, and move to nationalized health care that provides more access and lower costs. And also go a bit to the dark side. Draw up legislation, once we get control of the branches of government, at some point, which we will, that removes the security detail of former advisors to the president. It decides we're renaming space as American space and potentially seizing all invaders in space, including the 51% of satellites owned by SpaceX. Stop, encourage consumers to not engage with T-Mobile or United, who are doing deals with SpaceX. When I get an Uber alert saying your Tesla Model S is on the way, I cancel and say I don't ride in Teslas. The Democratic Party needs to be moved away from being the party of waving their cane at a building outside of it to the party of big ideas and not around.
So needless to say, I agree with everything he said. It is time for the Democrats to walk the walk, Stop just talking the bullshit talk. Tell billionaire donors and tech elites to go to hell. You need to create a dichotomy and prove to the American people that the Republican Party is the party of elites and billionaires. And this guy that they just installed as the head of the Democratic Party or the Democratic National Committee, he's another one who just said, oh, well, we don't want the bad billionaires' money, but we want the good billionaires' money. No, you need to say all billionaires are bad. We don't want any of their money because we don't want to be compromised. We don't want to have dual loyalties. Our loyalty is to the American people, and we are going to start acting that way. We are going to ban stock trading among people in public office. We are going to have term limits or something to make sure that people aren't in there for 50 years who are completely out of touch with average Americans. We are going to implement a wealth tax. We are going to have, universal basic income for people in need or across the board so that nobody can put up a fight and pitch a fit over it. It's unbelievable how out of touch this party has become. The majority of Americans don't care whether you're team red or blue. They don't care if you're right, left, or center, as long as their needs are being met. But that's not happening. And yes, I know the Republican Party is so far off from that, but they have convinced people because they have a charismatic leader. No matter what you think of Trump, and I loathe the man with every fiber of my being, but he is charismatic and he talks with his supporters. He talks at his rallies like he's just shooting the shit with someone at a bar. That is what people want. They want authenticity. And again, yes, I know Donald Trump is totally full of shit and the biggest liar on the planet, but the way he comes across makes people think that he is telling the truth and he's authentic. That is something that we are lacking in our party. And some insiders are actually starting to get it. So check this out. There was an article published on The Hill. This came out a while ago, but they quoted a top Democratic strategist who said, quote, "We need a political exorcism." And when he was asked about the quote unquote top contenders for 2028, meaning like Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, who else? Pete Buttigieg. He said, luckily, quote, "They all talk out of the same playbook, and that same playbook has failed again and again and again. We have a major fucking problem, and we're headed to a multi-cycle wilderness if we think any of those people can fix it." And then The Hill also asked a large Democratic donor about the top three, so Newsom, Kamala Harris, and Gretchen Whitmer. And this donor replied, quote, "How are any of them different from what we've had before? It's like the old expression, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting it to be different." And then they talked to other strategists who had similar thoughts, and one of them, named Eddie Vail, gave some reason for hope. He predicted that the 2020 election is going to be like no other. Vail said, quote, "With the caveat, of course, who knows who will get in. If you're tired of the same old folks, the 2028 field is actually probably one of the most wide open and youngest possibilities in decades." So we'll see if that comes to pass. But, after the 2008 financial crisis, an analyst had said that there are two things that you can always count on with the American people: short memories and greed. So true, right? We saw both of those play out in part in the 2024 election. Some Trump voters, though, as you guys know, as I've been sharing with you, they're already beginning to realize, wow, we made a mistake. They're having their Arrested Development moment, their Job moment of, I've made a mistake. I've made a terrible mistake. But the Democrats have to show them a better alternative, a better option. Otherwise, we're just going to end up with another strongman. We're just going to end up with another authoritarian. So anyway, I will let you all know if and when I hear more. Just so irritated with the Democratic Party right now. I can't even tell you. But anyway, please like this video, share it with others, become a subscriber if you have not. If you can donate, really appreciate it. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.